This video is all about the inner critic, intrusive thoughts, and how to handle kind of inner turmoil in your mind that may occur. So what I mean by inner voice is pretty much the chatterbox, the inner speaker, the person that judges in your mind, the person that criticizes, whether it's other people or yourself. It's the ego, or others may coin it the ego mind. And the ego mind is all about maintaining its sense of self. It's all about making sure that it is preserved no matter what. But like I've always said, it's a construction. It's created for really safety and kind of a sense of meaning a lot of times. But it gets us in trouble when it's always speaking, it's always talking, and it always creates it. You know what it does? It does a great job of really making situations bigger than they actually are. You're overthinking a certain situation, and it turns out not even close to what you think it is. And what happens is we create a bias. We have this bias of thinking that this chatterbox in our mind is like intelligent, and it's really, saying factual things, like it's so genius. We think that because we trust it. And what I mean by that is, if it says, you're walking awkwardly, like let's say that's the thought that's saying you're walking awkwardly, you immediately believe that you're walking awkwardly, right? Instead of questioning, are you actually walking awkwardly? And then you believe that, I'm an awkward walker. You go out walking around, people glance at you real quick. They're glancing at me because I'm walking awkward. When really you're not walking awkward. Maybe they like how your hair looks, things like that. This really got me thinking when I started. I'm reading it right now. It's called the Untethered Soul, and someone lent this to me. Shout out to her. And as I read this, I was going through it. I think this was chapter 2 of the book. There's a section where the author broke down how you can take this inner voice, this critic or whatnot, and you can turn them into a person. That inner critic, that inner voice that's talking. How would they look like in human form? How would they look like incarnated, right? An incarnated form. How would they look like if you brought them to form? So right now that voice is nebulous in your mind. It's kind of like how that voice would look is maybe shaky, right? Maybe it's just words in your head and sounds and etc. But if you were to take everything that person says, what would they look like in person? So for example, I'm going to take me. I wake up, let's say it's like, I usually wake up around like 8 a.m., like 8:30 a.m., about almost 9ish. Let's say this morning I wake up at 10:20 or something. The first thing the inner voice says is, you woke up late. Oh my God. You got to check Slack to see what they're talking about, with the agency. You got to do this errand. Wait, you have to write this. You forgot to send this email. Did you think about the next YouTube video topic? You see all this is going on, right? And then it's maybe some other positive things that the voice says, and it's maybe other negative things the voice says. But overall, it's very chatty. So what would that person look like in person? And you take that person, right? And the author breaks down that you pretend to go about your day with that person following you around all day long, right? And then you start listening to what they're saying. Some things they say, they think it's going to happen. You're going to be late to that meeting, and you're not late to the meeting. How does that person look? They think you're going to be late to that meeting. So a takeaway with this is, you envision this person being with you. Is this someone you want to hang out with all the time? No. But yet we are always hanging around. We are always hanging around this person because they're in our minds. And this is the power of no mind. This is the power of meditation. It's focusing. It's not like you don't have any thoughts at all. No, it's focused thinking. It's focused thoughts. There's a lot more clarity. So when I'm meditating, and no matter what technique I'm using, whether I'm staring at an object, whether I'm thinking of nothingness, whether I'm focusing on my breath, when I do that, my thoughts are more focused on more important things rather than scattered everywhere. rather than judging every little thing, rather than thinking about the past too much. It's presence, it's mindfulness. This is the power of it. So your inner critic, what happens is you've given it a lot of authority and value, as in its opinion is important, and you're not quieting it enough. So what happens is it's dominating everything. Like it's putting out its opinion on everything. This is the ego mind. And when you can separate yourself from egoic thoughts and egoic thinking a bit and have it a little more focused, this is where peace comes about. Peace of mind comes about. There's less neuroticism. I'm going to make a video on neuroticism. There's less neuroticism that's going on. There's more sharpness in your thinking. And guess what? This brings me to my next point in this video. You have to think of your brain as a collaborator and not an enemy. This is another frame of thinking. So a lot of times with people with negative thought processes, intrusive thoughts, or very critical ways of thinking, their minds are seen as an enemy instead of a collaborator, instead of something that's given to you by nature in life to help you survive and also thrive, as a conscious being. So the mind is very multidimensional. It's not just survival based. Yeah, if it does your survival needs, you need it to breathe, digest food. It's also your aid in growing spiritually and reaching goals and being very content in life. So it's your tool, it's your servant. I made a video on this. Your mind is your servant. You have to shift it to this frame of remembering, my mind's my servant. It's with me, right? It's not an enemy. So when you can shift this, thinking becomes kind of more so constructive criticism. So for example, I wake up a little late. In that example, originally it was, oh, you woke up late, what about this, what about that? This new frame of thinking, my mind is collaborating with me. It would be like, oh, okay, woke up at 10:20. Okay, what do I need to do today? Okay, maybe this, let's see if we can get this done. Let's get this done. Okay, might not be able to get that done. That's fine. It happens. I can push that back to another time, or I can do this instead. So I'm more organized in the way I'm thinking, and I'm not attacking myself. And the reason why this is so important is because the more and more you're attacking yourself in your mind, the more you start to believe it. And the more you see a confirmation bias that is true. Your RAS, reticular activation system, in the mind focuses on what you believe about yourself, and it just becomes this loop. And this is subconscious programming. But when you can switch that around and see where you're shining, you're doing great, this collaborator starts changing your life like crazy. The mind, you start manifesting and you start acting in ways that bring forth desirable outcomes instead of focusing on things that you don't want and brings things that you don't want. So I broke down the mind in a biological, psychological, and spiritual way. Yes, it does the basic biological things, regulates all that stuff, but if you do not watch how your mind is going against you, you're in trouble, because your psychology is almost everything. It's everything. If your psychology isn't on point, you won't see the different ways where you're limiting yourself. You won't see where the limiting beliefs are happening. You'll miss all this stuff. Maybe other people can see it in you, but you won't see how they're seeing it in you. So, guys, let's recap. The mind is your servant, but you have to watch your inner thoughts and your inner critiques. And that's actually a way of solving the issue, just watching your thoughts, not identifying with it. Check out my video that I made about worry, watching your thoughts instead of identifying with your thoughts. And when we identify with our thoughts, it's because, dude, you've assigned that chatterbox authority. You've given it value. Like, you've believed everything it said, but hasn't it been wrong in the past? It has. So what it's saying isn't always true. A lot of times it probably isn't true at all. And when you can regulate your mind, it becomes you collaborate with your mind. It becomes your servant. It serves you. This is when you become unstoppable. Because no matter what the outside world is throwing at you, your mind's on your side. Your mind is less likely to jump ship and go with what others are saying. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't consider others' opinions, but you're less likely to be swayed, and your inner frame doesn't get as conjoined. If you haven't already, definitely check out Untethered Soul. It's amazing. I'm not done with it just yet, but ooh, it's It's really good. It's very good. All right, guys, have a great one.